All right, in this video, we are going to create a point that you can move and drag along a graph. So we're going to open up an Activity Builder graphs page. So you can create something like this for just about any graph or relation, but it is easiest with functions. So for this, I'm going to use a function. So we're going to type in f of x equals, let's do x, we'll just do a linear function, 2x minus 3. But it doesn't matter what function as long as it is a function. It could get really complicated. You could do something like, some sort of massive polynomial, x minus 3, x plus 2, x minus 1. You could have all the things that you wanted to have here that you want to type in. Could be all over the place. So, like, I have a giant polynomial here that is super steep. We'll just kind of change that screen size a little bit by dragging along so you can see it, because we're going to, undo. Let's go back. We're going to mess with it a little bit. So, then what I'm going to add in is something that says a point that is a, comma, f of a, and create a slider for a. So what this does now is I have a draggable point that will move along my graph. Now, I like this better than just a regular point, because, like, say if I looked at a student preview here, I'm looking at my graph, I can take my mouse and drag along my graph like this, but it's a tiny little dot and it's kind of hard to see. Or I can take my draggable point and move it along my graph by dragging it along my graph. And then I can then ask things like put the point on the relative maximum or relative minimum, or indicate an inflection point or a zero or something along those lines. So I could say something like, move the point to one of the zeros. And then you could have all kinds of possible answers, or show me one of the inflection points, etc. So that the kids have an idea, you can get an idea of what's going on. So that is a point that will drag along a function. You can do this with relations, and because I've done it some in conics. However, you are probably going to have to break it into some parametric equations, and that's a little bit more involved. Feel free to ask me about it, or find someone who has already done it and copy and paste their graph, so that you don't have to come up with all of the various parameters to make sure that that works. So that is moving a point along a graph, line, curve, or function.